It is. It said trying to reconnect it first.
Okay.
Hi folks, Rick Berube here, live with Dan Mumm.
How's it going?
I know what's up.
Also
All right.
cameraman.
That's right.
And also cameraman.
Today we're solo, no one can hear us.
There you go.
I know it's a dad joke. All right, so let's get started with numbers, and then we're going to do some exciting stuff today. So, how's the market doing?
Yeah, so I just checked right before I got in here. Number of new listings, at least here in our market, 836. Number of new properties under contract, around 880. So there's more property under contract than coming on the market, which is great. And then the number of sold properties, this was the only thing I was concerned about. The number of closed properties was a little bit low, it was around 420 for the last 7 days. But if you think about this, what's happening is deals that are closing this week went under contract, what, a month ago? On average, 45 days ago. So think about that. What are we at? May 10th. 45 days ago was like the end of March. That was kind of like the worst of it, like beginning of April.
Right.
So there weren't as many deals going under contract then. So I would just be a little careful. I wouldn't be too pessimistic looking at the number of closings happening right now, because that's reflecting what was happening in that worst time.
Right.
You know? So if you
And it's the first week of the month too.
yeah, there's also that
nobody wants to close then. Yeah.
Yep. So that's why we saw a peak, last week or the week before, because it was right at the end of the month. And so yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing. The prices are going up, which is great.
Yeah.
No decrease in the price yet, so that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. So isn't it great, because when the worst week, they were down in the 500-600s for those numbers, weren't they?
For what? Properties under contract.
Yeah. And now it's back up to 880.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, the best week we had were in the 9s, right?
Yeah, we hit depending on how you measure it, we hit the 900 mark here for new properties under contract in 1 week, which is great, really good.
So just like yourself, I interviewed Rebecca Hidalgo Reigns on she's #1 team in Arizona last year, 65 million, not bad. Yeah. And she said, you know what? Basically what you say every week when we do these, if you're working, you're going to do business. If you're paralyzed by this, plus everything's open. I was up this weekend, restaurants, I know some people are a little freaked out by that, but they're only letting half the people in. I saw lines. I actually myself today, this weekend went to a flooring store. A gigantic flooring store, like half the size of a Home Depot. They only allow 30 people in there. So you're in there by yourself, and there's a line out front. So people are really smart about it. Things are starting to open. It affected the stock market. It's probably going to continue, hopefully. Like Dan said, the numbers are going up. So there's plenty to be positive about. Now, should you be concerned? Yes. Should you take precautions? Of course. But, I think we're starting to head in the right direction. And of course, it'll be a new normal, right?
Yeah.
But who knows? It might be better.
Yeah. For a lot of people, it will be. And one quick thing on that, your attitude about the market matters. Not that you should be falsely optimistic. I'm not suggesting that. Yeah, having a good, positive, energetic, solution-oriented outlook is really important. So one example of that, this weekend, on Saturday, I called a for sale by owner at 8:30 in the morning, met with them at 4:30, and I asked them on the phone about, if you have a realtor, who would you use? When do you plan on listing it? They were ready to list right away, really motivated. And they said specifically, they had an agent that came out like 2 weeks ago, and basically this agent was just really pessimistic and telling them to hold off, and that the market wasn't great, and that they weren't sure what was going to happen. And yeah, some of that's true, like there obviously was uncertainty, right? But this agent didn't have any solutions. They didn't have any positive outlook or solution for what the seller needed. The sellers needed to move. They already bought another property in Arizona, like they were ready to get going. So that's why they didn't list with that agent. They wanted to, but the agent basically talked them out of it. So I went yesterday, 2 days ago. Saturday I went out there, and we listed it yesterday.
Yeah.
Just because, and again, I wasn't falsely optimistic saying, hey, everything's great, although it does look pretty good right now.
Right.
But I just gave them the facts.
Yeah.
When I told them, hey, 880 properties sold in the last week, did you know that? They said, no, wow. That's exciting. We had no idea.
He's probably watching CNN and MSNBC instead of the MLS.
Yeah.
I walked by a TV this weekend when the news was on. I was like, if I listened to that for more than 5 minutes, I would actually run into oncoming traffic. Get it over with.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I can't believe what they talk about.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I need to take a shower after listening.
I know.
It's like, get that stuff off of me. Yeah. But if you're looking at the facts are looking good, and the facts are always the facts. You can't change the facts.
Yeah.
So, all right, so little exciting stuff today. Let's do a little role play.
Yeah.
All right.
I need some practice, sharpen my skills up. So.
All right, so we don't look at each other, so I'll look at the camera. I'm not being rude to Dan, just said when you role play because you're on the phone for this particular situation. So, you want to do?
So yeah, there's a few different things we can do.
Okay.
One exercise that I like is the repeat and improve exercise.
Right.
So all I'll do is just, I'm going to ask you a question, you'll answer it, and then I'm just going to repeat, approve, and ask another question. Doesn't matter what the question is. We don't have to overthink it.
All right.
So I'm basically going to just roll through basically like we're on a regular phone conversation. And what I'm trying to do here, what I'm focusing on is listening to what you're saying, repeating back a little bit, not the entire thing because then it sounds robotic. If I just repeat back your entire sentence. I'm going to try and repeat back a little piece of what he said and then approve of it, meaning empathize with it, show that I understand, show that I'm listening, it demonstrates active listening, and then I'm going to ask another question related to whatever you said. And again, the question doesn't really matter. The purpose of the exercise is just to get in that habit of repeating and approving. That's what makes
just so you know, what he just said and went through, I've been doing this for 35 years. Most of us don't do. So this would be a tremendous, I didn't do it at first. I was a talker, pusher, once I learned to ask questions and listen, my whole real estate career. And you started that way.
Yeah.
So you started right out of the gate.
Yeah, I got it right. And one other quick thing is, I like to repeat, approve, pause for a little bit, and then ask the next question. The reason why I like that little pause is because it'll cue you to keep going. We won't really do that because in a natural conversation, what happens, if me and Rick are talking to each other, he says something, I repeat it and approve it, and I stop talking, he continues talking. That's like a cue for him to continue. It's not like in a real conversation, Rick knows that I'm using a script and says, oh, it's your time to ask the next question on my script, right? If I stop talking, the natural thing for him to do is to continue talking, which is what you want when you're making calls. So I'll repeat, approve, pause, and then I'll just ask another question. That'll be it.
Perfect.
This is a good exercise too for those of you who are married or have spouses and you need to demonstrate your active listening skills. This is good.
Yeah, they'll think that someone's invade your body for doing sexual.
All right, without further ado, let's do it. So I'll just start with just any question. Hey, Rick, this looks like a beautiful house. If you were to move, where would you go next?
Well, you know, that's an interesting question. We were thinking about possibly someday the Seattle area.
Seattle, wow, that's exciting. What would be bringing you there?
Well, I have 2 grandkids, 7 and 12.
7 and 12. Well, it's always good to be close to family, so I definitely understand that. How soon did you want to be moved?
Well, you know, we're getting up there, and you know, with all the travel situations, once it becomes safer, we're thinking about actually going there, because if anything like this were to happen again, we'd be right there with our family.
Right there. Well, yeah, especially with what's going on these days, I definitely understand. And are you guys working right now, or are you retired?
No, we're retired.
You're retired. Good for you. So with this house, tell me again, what was the price you wanted to list for?
Well, we've seen, you know, since you said that, we've looked at our Zestimate, and our Zestimate says that we can probably look at 4 1/4.
4 1/4. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that seems pretty reasonable. How did you come to that price?
Well, just the, and you know, and once I looked at the Zestimate, I looked at all the other apps and so forth, and it looks like in our neighborhood, that's pretty much what they're going for.
What they're going for. Okay. So you looked online, you checked out some of the estimates, and you figured that's about what it was worth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably in the ballpark. I mean, I'd like to get more if I can.
Sure, I'd like to get more. Yeah, I'd love to get you more if we could. And that being said, what was the price that you didn't want to go below?
Oh, okay. So, well, I mean, we don't want to give it away. So if our house is worth 4 1/4, let's say, and I guess we probably wouldn't want to go below 400.
Around 4, okay. And I don't think you would need to. Again, the 425 does seem like a pretty reasonable price. Now, you guys haven't planned to try and sell it on your own, have you?
No.
No.
Okay, no. Yeah. I don't even know what's involved.
What's involved? Well, yeah, that's a big process, and I appreciate that you're looking to hire a professional. And speaking of that, which realtor were you planning to use when you end up selling the house?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because this is the first call like this we've got. And it's interesting. How did you know we were thinking?
You're thinking, yeah, it's good timing, right? I make a lot of calls. So were you planning to interview more than one agent for the job of selling the home?
Yeah, I might consider that. It depends what the, you know, well, it depends what you have to say, or anybody we talk to.
Who you talk to. Okay, well that's fair. You know, most smart sellers do that. How will you decide on which realtor to use?
Wow, another great question. I would say that if we feel comfortable and they have the right, you know, we're looking for somebody that's, you know, that has signs all over town. What company did you say you're with again?
I'm with Berkshire Hathaway, so just ending the exercise there. That's just to give you an idea. What do you think of that?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sorry, we're cutting off.
No, we could go on forever, but this is a tip. Like, I used to do a lot of just solo calls, and I was giving him answers that I would hear, except for I added in the COVID thing, obviously, because I didn't hear that when I was selling.
Yeah, so again, when you guys do this, it doesn't really matter. I was just going through some of the pre-qualifying questions, just because they're...
And we were getting close there. That would have been close to... She, probably at that point would have said, like, well, how much longer do you think it's going to last? Well, I don't know, but, I would have I don't know about you, but I would have gone over done it virtually with them.
We could have easily set an appointment there, but again, the purpose of the exercise is just to focus on that repeat, approve, ask another question. You really want to ingrain that habit. What happens is, when you don't do that, the reason why you should do that, when you don't do that, it sounds like you're interrogating people. You ask a question, you ask a question, you ask a question. You might even get people that say that to you. I've had people tell me that when I wasn't doing it right. They say, like, what is this, an interrogation? Why are you asking something?
How come I feel like I have a life like this?
Right. So if people are saying that to you, if people are saying, why are you asking that? This sounds like a lot of questions. What that means is that you're probably not doing this correctly, because when you do it correctly, it makes the entire thing sound more
like a natural conversation.
Right.
Yeah. And people will even say to you, like I was just role playing this morning with Marcy Murphy, and I was when you do it right, people go to, do I know you? When you hear that, you're probably doing it right.
Right. Yeah, that's what it's all about, sounding more conversational. And you still need to ask those questions. There's a balance between sounding conversational and using a script that works and asking questions that need to be asked, right? Because if you go too far in the conversational direction, then you go off into Pluto and you're not talking about anything relevant, that's not good.
Right.
But if you're just drilling someone with questions and it sounds harsh or over the top, well, that's not effective, because then we don't have a conversation going.
Yeah, and remember, questions about real estate. Like, I've called some people that are home and they have nothing better to do, and they'll talk to you all day. You want to be polite to them, but like, I was showing interest in possibly doing something now or in the near future.
Right.
Okay?
That's
Any other thoughts for them today?
No.
That was a good
Try
one.
that one out. Yeah, it's good practice.
All right, Dan, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
I gotta walk around now.